Welcome back to Something Awesome. I'm zettovyker to Let's Make Katawa Shoujo Act 2-4 Hanako's Scars. Today, we continue with the last branch. That is the true ending of Hanako's story. After we
Well, we don't know
spent a
that.
wonderful day. Shut up. We spent a wonderful day with Hanako,
I don't want to admit it, but she may have a point. Something else bugs me though.
and you tried to amend this. Wait, are outing into the city? Quite astute. I thought it might help if I dragged both of you out of Yamaku into the wider world. I'm thankful you became closer for it, though.
So she noticed that. I suppose she may well have been paying attention to us, and her hearing is incredibly good. Quite likely good enough to have picked up what we were talking about if she tried.
So that sounds like more and more you were manipulating us.
Silence. It's a harsh way of putting it, but I have no intention of stepping back from those words.
I'm sorry. I was just worried about you. I'm fine.
It's
I guess there are more important things anyway.
it's not a total surprise that she'd do such a thing. Her motherly nature can be slightly overbearing at times, but she does have the best of intentions.
So you think I should think about myself more instead of trying to cater to Hanako? That largely sums it up. Again, I'm sorry for not telling you this in a clear way before going behind your back. I know I'm at least as guilty as being overprotective of Hanako as you, but I fear that you are neglecting yourself in your efforts to give Hanako happiness. Do you really think Hanako will be okay? She isn't as fragile as you think. I don't know exactly what experiences she's lived through, or what feelings she has in her mind, but she has managed to work her way through them until now. It is also my hope that gives her a little space that will allow her to decide what she truly wants for herself, and give her the initiative to reach out for it. Please, have faith in Hanako. That's all I ask. Oh, I think, I guess I'll think about it for a while. That's good. Being rash won't get you anywhere. I know that at times you may doubt your relationship to Hanako, but she does. Lily cuts.
Lily cuts herself off and takes a moment to reconsider her words.
Please keep in mind that I wouldn't have befriended you if I didn't think you a fundamentally good person. You're a good friend, both to myself and to Hanako. Thank you. That helps.
We share some small talk to try and lighten up the atmosphere, but it feels very stilled. There's still a lot I don't know about Lily's stay in Scotland, but after such a heavy subject, I want to be alone for a bit to think. After a few minutes, we end up saying our goodbyes, and I set my phone on the desk. Compared to Hanako's situation, mine feels utterly mundane. I still have both of my parents. I had a reasonably normal childhood, and unlike many in the Yamaku, my condition isn't immediately visible to the public. But then again, isn't this just an attempt to justify the way I've been acting towards her? That may well be what our pasts were like, but when it comes to the future, I still have no idea what I want to do. In school, I've just concentrated on each day's work, and I more put off more and more things to cater to Hanako. I recall the words Muto told me after Hanako's breakdown about the purpose of Yamaku in my education. In hindsight, he was probably trying to push exactly the same thing. Just what I've been doing in my time since my heart attack. If I ever did manage to get Hanako out of her room and to open up, what then? I look out of my dormitory window as the sun slowly sets. It's a nice sight, but what I really savor is the quiet as the students return to their dormitory rooms. All I want to do now is think. I'm not sure how much time I have, but I want to work out where I'll go from here. Since talking to Lily yesterday, I wanted to try and move on from this listlessness I felt. ever since coming to Yamaku. But even if I try to concentrate on the book in front of me, Hanako's empty seat at the back of the classroom looms larger than life. Every time I start getting focused, my eyes flick over to her desk again, and my mind starts spinning. Once more, my eyes drift over to it, but this time my vision is blocked by a certain other classmate.
Oh, hey Mickey. Maybe you should just have lunch. I can hear your stomach growling from my desk.
I let my head drop in disappointment. She seems to take some amusement from my reaction and hops up onto my desk. Her grin as she sits on it reminds me of the Cheshire cats.
So, what you working on? Some math. I have a decent handle on it, but I just wanted to revise. Ooh, really? Let me see that.
Before I can object, she grabs a mathematic book with her hand. She scans the pages I was on, holding it open with one hand she has, her left arm sitting usually on her lap. In my time here at Yamaku, I've noticed that the other students have a wide range of adjustments to their disabilities on a purely practical level. Miki is one of those that seemed to have some trouble. The stump of her left arm tends to be either hanging by her side, slipped into her pockets, or otherwise put out of the way. Sometimes she has a difficult time doing common tasks, which makes her visibly quite frustrated. I feel a little bit bad for thinking this way, but I'm thankful that Hanako and I don't have disabilities affecting our freedom of movement to that extent. Then again, if Mickey's problem worsened, at least she wouldn't have a real possibility of dying. My attention is refocused as she thumbs through a few pages, skimming their contents. With such casual interest and in subject matter, it's clear by now that she won't be any help.
I'm guessing you're not too interested in this stuff. Screw math, it's boring as hell.
She puts the book back in front of me with indifference. Her eyes move to the notebook beside it that I've been working out practice equations on.
Wait, you're actually able to work that stuff out? Yeah. Wow, I never talked to a computer with legs before. Thanks, I think. At least I'm doing better than this in this than history. Think it's worth asking the librarian for help? I heard she's shooting for Uni. Ah, Yuko? Maybe. I don't know what she wants to study though. So what about you? You got anything you're thinking of doing after you graduate? Me? Nah, not really. Just enjoying it while it lasts.
She looks a little awkward when asked about her future, and absent-mindedly rubs her left forearm. I kind of want to ask her about it, but I don't think I know her well enough to do so. The conversation peters out, and I lean back in my chair, giving up on the prospect of studying. Miki notices my tired expression and looks oddly serious.
Think about Hanako? It's that obvious? You've been glancing at her receipt, and you've been pretty quiet. Not so hard to connect the dots. I'm just worried about her. Yeah, I can see why you would be. She can get weird sometimes.
She sounds put off, but I can't blame her. Hanako was a hard person to interact with before she warmed up to me, even with Lily around to help. I haven't known her for that long either, so some of her habits would still be unknown to me. My face becomes troubled. If I hadn't developed feelings for her, this would be at the least a little easier to deal with.
I mean, no offense. She isn't a bad person, I know that much. I know. I didn't take it that way. It's just hard to deal with when, well, you have feelings for someone. Yeah, I can imagine that. It's hard to forget something like that happened to her during class, too.
I wish she hadn't reminded me of that. He just confirmed that it was clearly noticed by others in the room as well.
Come on, don't get that down. She's done this before. You just gotta wait it out.
She locks herself in her room and acts like an empty husk of a person for a sizable amount of time, ever since she entered Yamaku, if not before then as well, and I'm not surprised to be concerned about that. Well, I might think that, but there's nothing that I can do. I can't force her to come out, and she does see a therapist, so it's not like she isn't getting any help for her issues. Maybe it's natural to think that way when you're so powerless to help someone. That's just the way she is, and you just have to deal with it. As I mull things over, I notice a movement out of the corner of my eye. I glance to see who it is, and ending up doing a double take. Sure enough, it's Hanako. She walks through the door just as she would any normal school day, and begins to move towards her seat in her usual silent and humble manner. She looks at me for a moment before blushing and looking away in embarrassment, which makes me realize that I was staring at her. I feel sorry for that, but not doing it is hard after all that's happened. The girl sitting on my desk looks at to me, grinning.
See? Your sweetheart's back already. What did I tell you? You be quiet.
It might only be meant as a joke, but she hits close enough to make me quite uncomfortable. As we talk, someone calls Mickey's name from the door. She jumps down from her vantage point on my desk before turning to me.
Gotta go, Hisa. Remember to eat sometime, will ya? Fine, I will. See ya.
She gives a casual salute before jogging over to the door, where a male student in gym uniform is waiting for her. Probably someone from the track and field club. Seizing the opportunity, I get up and make my way to Hanako's desk.
Hello? Hi, Hanako. What's up? No, nothing.
Maybe talk to her this soon after she came back to class was a bad move.
Want to go come with me and grab something from the cafeteria? I'm pretty hungry. But I thought you were studying.
Studying can wait. Turning up for class after all this time must have taken some courage for Hanako. So the least I can do is stay with her. That's just the way she is, and you just have to deal with it. It's the way Mickey, and probably the class as a whole views Hanako. I could do more for her though. I want to do more for her.
After being distracted by Mickey, I don't think I'm going to get any work done. Come on, let's go.
She hesitates, but eventually gets up and joins me as we begin walking. These may be a small steps for her, but the fact that she's finally out of her room of her own volition lifts a large weight off my shoulders.
My pen busily scrawls onto a slowly filling page of my notes. My other hand remains on the page of a reference book I borrowed from the library, marking my spark as my eyes flickers to and fro. As I work, I occasionally mark red circles or underlines to photocopy sheets of paper that lie on the tables in front of me. Wanting a change of scenery from the library, and to avoid distractions of the classroom, I decided to make use of Shanghai for some quiet study time. It ended up being nice and quiet as expected, and being able to get coffee while I study is a nice bonus. Hanako may have returned to her normal self since she came out of her room, but I've done quite the opposite. Daily routine may have returned to us, but I feel as if I am a different person. Maybe I'm not. It's only been a few days after all, since I decided I wanted to try and get it out of this rut I found myself in after my accident, but I want to change, and now that I'm actively working towards that goal. Or at least, I would like to think I am. Ugh, this is impossible. Reinforcing this isn't going to work. What's more, I have another piece of writing I have to do after this. I feel that's going to be no easier. Um, I look up in mild surprise at the source of the tentative voice. Yuko stands at the head of the table with a damp towel in hand, clearly having taken the opportunity to clean the tables while no other patrons are around. She looks so curious. Her hair is as much as my work as on me. What's the matter? I was just wondering, what sort of work are you having so much trouble with? Oh, it's just history. I'm fine with science and math, so I'm trying to get my other subjects up to par. Yuko looks positively delighted at this development. I feel like I chose the right answer on some big quiz show. Oh, I think I can help you with that. If you don't mind, of course. I briefly considered turning down the offer in order not to cause her so much trouble, but she looked so excited about this for me to do it. It would be mean to shoot her down like that, after such a reaction. If you're willing to help, I'd really appreciate it. She claps her hands together and quickly deposits her towel on the counter before returning and taking a seat across from me. I take my notebook off the top of the textbooks and hand it over for her to peruse. So you're studying the Edo period? Yeah, I'm not really much good at this though. She takes the textbooks and reads a few pages of a random section near the middle for a bit, but the aura of enthusiasm she'd been radiating previously is rapidly sapping away. I'm guessing this isn't kind of the history you were expecting? Unfortunately not. The main era is European history, especially in the classical era. Sorry. She looks a bit downcast, but she as carefully closes the book and lays it back down on the table. Her face perks up again. Would you like another cup of coffee? Oh, yeah, sure. I reach forward to get my book back as Yuko gets up, takes my mug, and slowly walks to the counter to make another brew. As usual, she's absolutely silent as she does this. Every ounce of her concentration is focused not on tripping over or dropping the plain white mug. I take the opportunity to lay back and relax for a bit, the hum of the coffee machine filling the otherwise quiet air. It's small details like that that makes me realize how much I've come to appreciate the little things in life. The peace and quiet of the local town, the discipline and order of Yamaku, the green of the trees that were so rare in my home city, the relaxed pace at which the aging residents live their lives. Everything feels so certain. It's comforting. I can feel myself beginning to nod off, and when the sound of the mug coming to rest on the table grabs my attention, it seems like it arrived not a moment too soon. Yuko takes her previous seat again once again, as I pick myself up and bring a hand around the mug to check its temperature. It's a little bit too hot to drink right away, so I blow on it a little. It's a shame you don't like history like all that much. I should have guessed you might be more into science. How so? You nearly read out the science fiction section of the library already. It wasn't hard to notice. You do have a good point there. Well, what can I say? You pegged me just about right. You sound like you really take an interest in history, though, especially considering how specific you were about it. Do you study in that era or something? Go on digs overseas? She giggles nervously at the thought. I'd like to visit the Mediterranean sometime and see the old architecture and art for myself, but I don't think I can trust myself to handle such delicate things. I'm saving up to formally study at university, though I need to read up on it whenever I have free time outside of work. So Mickey was right about her university aspiration. Considering how she fares as a waitress, a more theoretical path may suit Yuko better. It's nice to hear that she has some ambition, though, considering how hard she works. I nod and take a careful sip of my coffee. By now it's cooled to the right temperature, so I begin to drink while keeping an eye on the book below, trying to read at the same time. A few minutes pass quietly. Yuko looks out the window and watching the world go by while I have my coffee and study. A movement catches my eye. I look up to see Yuko smiling and waving to someone outside. Following her gaze surprisingly reveals that someone to be Hanako. She's looking at us on the side of the street across from where we are. Her usually all too visible timidity is largely absent, probably thanks to there being so few people around right now. Evidently, she decides to join us. After a little wave, she gives a quick glance up and down the street and crosses towards the side that the cafe is on. The familiar doorbell to the Shanghai rings out as Hanako enters and makes her way to the table we're sitting at. Hello. Good afternoon. Hey, Hanako. What's up? Nothing. Just going for a walk since the weather was nice. Yeah, I get what you mean. I'm glad I decided to study here instead of at the library. It's comfortable in here, thanks to that. Better than sometimes quite stuffy library. I look to Yoko, who nods in response. It's nice. It's just a shame that summer can't last forever. Oh wait, sorry. Would you like a drink? Hanako shakes her head. Thankfully, that's enough to calm Yuko back down. How are you doing with studying? Okay-ish. Oh yeah, have you talked with Lily? I'm interested too. How is she doing? She's enjoying it, I think. I think. That's all we're going to get out of her. Being around Yuko is tensing her up. Ah, it would be so nice to travel to Scotland. Green fields, castles, lovely small towns, men in kilts, interesting history. I can't see the appeal of men in kilts myself, but it seemed like a picturesque place though. As you walk, the jingle of the doorbell rings again. Hanako is startled, noticing Yuko's panicked expression at the prospect that she might leave a customer to wait a handful of seconds due to her chatter with us. Ooh. Yuko gives us a quick bow, then hastily skitters over the grates and greets the new customers, an elderly man and his wife. I watch her for a bit, craning my head around to get a good view. Hanako is staring at me with her one visible eye. She averts her head in embarrassment as I turn to make eye contact. I was just thinking it's nice to have some ambitions for the future. Yuko was telling me a little about her university aspirations here before. Well, it's a shame. If she wasn't so neurotic and overworked, I think she could be a really happy person. As much as I'd like to play host to Hanako and entertain her for a bit, I do need to study as well. To be honest, I don't think the distraction from Yuko helped either. Sorry if I'm a bit distracted. I need to try and get this done, otherwise I'm going to flunk the history exam pretty hard. I'm left running my hand through my hair in frustration. That letter needs doing as well once I get back to my dormitory room. I hope I have more luck than this. Damn. What with what? What with what with? Oh, I was going to write to Awanako right now, though. This is more important. All I've done is rat on myself. I can't focus on the work in front of me when my stomach is slowly turning into prospect of actually attempting to write her back. After all this time, I force myself to concentrate on the book, picking up my pen once I have a quick sip of coffee. After a few seconds, Hanako stops silently watching me and leans back in her seat, relaxing as much as she ever seems to be able to do, looking out the window to pass the time. We sat like this for a long time before leaving for the dormitories together. I'm surprised she had the patience to wait me out. Wanako's letter lies on my desk besides a blank sheet of lined paper and an unused envelope. The tapping of my pen is the only thing to be heard this late at night. As I feared, my second task for the day turns out to be just as difficult as the first, if not harder. It's been so many months since we last saw each other. Even so, I can still remember what she looked like, what she sounded like, and what she acted like. By now, though, the little details are beginning to slip away. When I first saw her letter, I barely recognized her handwriting at all. Even the pink pen she always used was forgotten until her handwriting reminded me of it. I wonder why she didn't use it for the letter. She used to write everything with it. Maybe she thinks I'm too immature now. I should be thinking about myself and about what I want to communicate to her. My mind can't stop concentrating on her, though. On the past we shared before it was taken way too serious suddenly. The bright and slightly garnished decorations suit her sense of aesthetics. Picking up the letter to take a close look at it, I gave a long sigh. This is the last link binding me to my past. Iwanako didn't suddenly cease to exist when she left my hospital room for the last time, but I needed this letter to remind me of that. I had all those feelings neatly filed away. I felt as if I didn't need them, that I could just begin life completely anew. It was easier that way. In the end, I suppose I was rather naive thing to think. Sooner or later, my past would have caught up with me one way or another. But what am I supposed to say to her? Thank you for bringing me closure? All that letter did was end the sense of closure I previously felt. Try as I might, I can't write so much as a single word down on the paper in front of me. I can't even think of exactly what to say. Putting the letter down on top of the blank sheet, I gather the materials together and file them away in my drawer. The clunk of the desk makes it seem closes to me momentarily tense in frustration before I get up to grab a drink from the vending machine on the first floor. I tried, but I couldn't do it. After all that time that's passed, I still don't know how to deal with Iwakano.
The library, while not humming with activity, is noticeably more busy than usual. Exams are not far away, and that's reflected in the number of students burying their noses in textbooks at the tables around us. I've been studying quite a lot in the past few days, just like them, in hopes of doing well on the exams. This also means that Hanako and I have been playing games less, so she's begun studying as well, just to fill in the time. Nevertheless, I found myself forsaken by her on this particular day. The textbook in front of me has been remained on the same page for some time. After so much reading the subjects I couldn't care less about, if not for the exams, my mind is beginning to wander. I find my eyes flickering over where Hanako would usually be, just like the days she wasn't in class. The usual beanbag in the corner of the room is conspicuously unoccupied. If it was here that we first really met, I tried to start a conversation with her. She got skittish and eventually bolted from the room altogether. I probably shouldn't smile about it, but it was kind of amusing in hindsight. Nowadays, it's more and more difficult to imagine her doing such a thing, even with Lily gone. She's been doing well now that she's come out of her room. I want to talk with her, or at least play another game of chess. I'm tired of studying, and it's been a few days since we've really done anything together. The question to where to find Hanako isn't particularly a difficult one. If she's not in the library, chances are that she's either in the tea room for some peace and quiet, or in her dormitory room. Deciding to check them in that order, I packed up my books and make my way out of the library. I stretch and give a loud groan as I walk down the hallway. Studying may be frustrating at times, but with the progress I feel I've made, there is also some sense of pride in getting it done. It's a good feeling. There isn't a sound to be heard from inside as I stand in front of the door to Hanako's room. I guess that isn't very indicative of whether she's inside or not, given how quiet she usually is. Still, she wasn't in the tea room. I try knocking lightly to make my presence known, but am surprised when I find the door unlocking and yielding at my touch. With a small creak, the door is open. It looks like my suspicions were correct. Hanako was indeed here. She's sitting at the table with an open book in front of her, but pays it no heed as she keeps looking out the window. She looks utterly oblivious to my presence. With her head thoughtfully resting on her hand, she looks calm and collected. It's a shame she can't look like this more often. Smiling a little, I walk up to the table and softly speak to her.
Good evening, Hanako.
Hanako's head turns a little to see me, but she's still only half there. I put a hand on the table and lower my head to better look at her face, mildly curious about what mood she's in.
What's up?
She gasps a little, finally acknowledging my presence in the room for the first time. Hanako's blushing really heavily. Her mouth is open just a little, as if paused mid sentence. Most striking, though, is what she's doing. She's looking directly at me, her eyes are pinned on my own, from such a close distance that I can almost see the reflection in them. They don't turn away nor move at all. They're absolutely still, just looking into mine. They're dark, and they give her an almost analytical air. Even when reading on subjects she has no interest in, she would appear to be wrapped in her works, and to a casual observer, she absorbs information very well, and even now, I can feel that. I feel like I'm seeing something behind those eyes that I've never seen before. I don't know what it is, though.
Hanako?
Her lips move just a little, slightly move, mouthing something. She looks like she's on the verge of saying something, but won't say it. But that's the way Hanako always is, on the verge of saying something, but never quite doing it. As I took intently into her eyes, I realized something. Everyone has their own thoughts, things that they want to say, their own worldview. But I can't work out what Hanako wants to say, and I can't work out what she's thinking. I never have been able to. It's frustrating. It feels like I don't know her at all, despite all the time we spent together.
So,
It's only now that I find myself blushing. I've been looking directly into Hanako's eyes from such a short distance, with absolutely no regard for her, and she's looking into mine without shirking away. I look quickly. I quickly look away while covering my face with my hand. Hanako does just the same. Another awkward silence reigns. I hate these. At first, I accepted them as just being a fact of life around Hanako, but now all they feel like is an affirmation of how little we're able to communicate. Some anger makes its way in the complex mixture of emotions I'm experiencing right now. I want to bridge that gap between us. Friends shouldn't have to tiptoe around each other like this. I'm speaking before I can argue myself out of what I'm going to do. My scarring isn't as bad as Hanako's, and I can't possibly compare my life to hers, but I want to show her she's not alone with something. Doing this in such a blunt manner might be the only way to get my point across.
Hanako, Hanako, I want to show you something. I take a deep breath to prepare myself. This could backfire badly, but I feel as if we've come close enough for this to be okay. I'm not going to strip naked or anything weird. I just want to take off my shirt. Hanako's eyes grow to the size of saucers. Her face is an amusing mixture of curiosity and nervousness as she stands. It helps take the edge off my own nervousness at doing this in front of another person. Slowly, with my entire body feeling tense, I untie my tie and begin to loose the first of the buttons. I'm trying to mentally block out Hanako to make this easier, but it's not really working. As I work my way down, I expect to hear some form of protest from her. She remains silent, though, which makes this feel even stranger. With the last of my shirt unbuttoned, I take a breath and look at her. Hanako's gaze is fixed on my scarring. As expected, and once I nod to say it's okay, she steps forward and tentatively places her hand on the vertical line running down my chest. The scarring on her hand, pattern of damaged skin across the surface, contrasts with the single uniform line that makes up mine. Her hand is trembling at all, unlike what I predicted. This is the scar from the surgery that followed my heart attack. The surgeons had to cut open my chest to operate on my heart. I never knew. Hanako's words are calmer and softer than usual. The soft feeling of her fingers moving from my scar to my breast makes me hesitate a little before continuing on. You're the first person to see this since I left the hospital. But why are you showing this to me? I wanted to prove myself that I could do this, that I could accept my past and move on. I wanted to show that to you as well. She nods. From her reaction, she seems to know how difficult this is for me. More than anything, the scar represents a visible reminder of my condition. A reminder that I'm not normal anymore. That's something that, until now, I had tried my hardest to ignore. As the minutes tick by, Hanako's gaze lingers. Her eyes look less focused on my scarring than before. The situation feels a bit different than it previously did, and makes me feel slightly uncomfortable. Her hand retreats and I draw my shirt closed and begin to button it up. Her blushing face suddenly returns to its typical tense and timid state as she looks away. The room is completely silent as I fix my shirt and tie, feeling put off after such an unexpected intimate moment. So, I guess you're not the only one that's scarred. Hanako smiles a little at the joke, thankfully, lighting the atmosphere a bit. Thank you, Isao. I I think I understand. I give a long sigh of relief. I really don't know how she'd take it, but I'm glad everything seems to have worked out as I hoped. Hanako's smile only proves that further. I'm finding the path that I want to follow now, and all Hanako needs to do is find her own. It's something I can't help her with. It's something that she needs to overcome her past in order to do. Hanako checks the watch. It's getting late by now. Hey, so, yeah, I better get going. I'll be thankful for some sleep. It's been a long day after all. Good night, Hanako. Good, good night. I make my way out of her room and into the hallway, remaining silent as I do so. I think both of us have gone through a few emotions today. The heat of summertime beats down on my sweating brow. Dabbing with a handkerchief doesn't help too much, making any more comfortable. Actually, we're kind of here, folks. I hope you like this video. Truly, this ending of chapter 2-4, Hanako's Scars, will be coming to an end. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see the final episode of Katawa Shoujo Act 2-4, Hanako's Scars. And leave your comments below if you have anything to say. Feel free to take this, a little bit more seriously. I know we've had a lot of fun, and a lot of good and bad things come along, but, this is coming to a wonderful end. And until next time, folks, I'll see you guys then. Good night.